Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the opportunity to present SB 84, which provides small businesses an opportunity to fix construction-related ADA violations before penalties can be applied. This bill gets to the heart of the purpose of the Americans with Disabilities Act, finding deficiencies in buildings, building construction, and providing for the entity to actually fix the defect and thus making the facility more accessible for all. Here's the current situation. Thank you, Mr. President. Opportunistic lawyers often target businesses in marginalized communities with large populations of immigrants whose first language is not English. These individuals are generally less familiar with the American legal system, have less trust in it, and are highly likely to settle these, frankly, meritless cases out of fear, regardless of whether they actually violated the ADA. They simply believe they have no other option. Here's some interesting statistics. In 1921, I went back a little bit too far when my grandfather opened up his Packard dealership. In 2021, ADA litigation in the U.S. District Court for Northern District of California tripled from 2020. Of the suits filed, nearly 85% were from one law firm. It's estimated that this firm's earnings on the ADA litigation was over $60 million 2018 through 2022. That's about $12 million a year. This problem is evidenced by there being more disability access suits filed in California than the rest of the other 49 states combined in 2021, with just a handful of plaintiffs filing thousands of suits, and the problem's getting worse. Existing law requires a plaintiff attorney to submit construction-related disability access complaints and pre-litigation letters to the California Commission on Disability Access. The most recent published data from 2023 showed an increase of over 1,600 complaints than the year before, for approximately 4,600 total cases alleging more than 10,500 violations. The trend, unfortunately, is going in the wrong direction. SB 84 provides a reasonable solution to small businesses, 50 employees or less, targeted by unscrupulous bad actors for a path to improve their business if a defect even exists at all. The claim that businesses will not have the incentive to be proactively compliant is without merit. Businesses not only want to serve as many customers as possible, they also will face quick backlash if their facility is inaccessible. SB 84 strikes a balance between protecting the rights of the disabled to have physical access while also protecting the rights of business owners to have meaningful access to justice, equal representation, and being protected against meritless litigation. Small businesses are hoping for a chance to improve access for all over closing their doors, a chance to fight meritless lawsuits and settlements instead of handing over their hard-earned dollars because they were an unsuspecting target of a shakedown. A chance, quite frankly, to pursue the American dream. I respectfully ask an aye vote.
Senator Ashby, you are recognized.
Thank you. I rise in support of SB 84. I think this is an incredibly important bill. Small businesses, as we know, represent at a minimum 40% of our workforce across the state of California. They are one of the backbones for jobs across the great state. I think it is a carefully crafted bill by the senator from Fair Oaks. I urge an aye vote.
Senator Blakespear, you are recognized.
Thank you. I also rise in support of this bill and think it is very reasoned. It is important that we recognize that there are a number of small businesses. I've heard from dozens of small businesses over many years in government who have expressed that they want to cure the violation and they end up in a lawsuit that they need to settle for tens of thousands of dollars. So this bill gives 4 months, 120 days to cure, which is essentially like a right to repair that we've given a requirement for all sorts of other types of products, for businesses to be able to fix a problem before they end up in a lawsuit. This is a reasoned approach. It is frankly very modest, and I appreciate the author for bringing it, and I urge an aye vote.
Senator Pérez, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of SB 84 and want to thank the author for bringing this measure forward. I actually discovered SB 84 after talking with some of my own constituents. I was meeting with a group of small business owners in my district, and they raised these concerns to me, and particularly for those business owners who do not speak English, who are immigrants, and who don't necessarily understand all of the complexities of these ADA laws. And many of them who are restaurant owners, they're small shop owners, had been targeted with these lawsuits. One business owner that I spoke to in Monterey Park was almost pushed to the point of bankruptcy. In another case, I was actually shopping for furniture for my home and began having a conversation with the business owner who shared with me that he was in the middle of one of these suits. And he didn't even realize that his location was not up to ADA compliance. And he is actually very beloved in the community. This is a very popular location that's existed for now about 2 generations, and has been targeted with one of these lawsuits, and it has created so much stress and concern for him because he is a small business owner. Now, one of the things that I think was really shocking about this is, in addition to being sued, he was also forced to sign an NDA. And so when I told him I wanted to do something about this, he immediately told me, please make sure you don't share my name. Please make sure that you don't share my business. I don't want to get in trouble. And to think that someone that's trying to do their best, operate a business, isn't attacked in this way and then not able to share it with anyone for fear that they're going to face further economic damages is pretty absurd. I come up from a long line of restaurant owners. My family owns Manuel's El Tapiac in Boyle Heights, a very famous Mexican restaurant. My father owned the Taco Room. And I remember just how difficult it was for my dad to operate a small business while also working as an electrician. I think this is a very common sense measure. I know that the advocates would still like to see some changes. I trust that the author is going to continue to have discussions with those folks, but we do need a remedy here. To allow for our small businesses to be targeted in this way is really not a fair approach. So urge an aye vote and appreciate the author again for all of his work here.
Senator Grove, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too rise in support of SB 84. I know that there is a balance that needs to be struck where those that are need to be ADA compliant are compliant, but we also have a lot of litigant attorneys that pursue businesses specifically in areas that are immigrant areas that don't understand the law, that are businesses. And I have an area in Bakersfield where there was a rash of LA attorneys that came over the hill and started filing lawsuits against our businesses in the community. They reached out to our office. This was 4 years ago, but we had several of them reach out to our office. They were being fined for a lawsuit, and there's no right to cure, which this would be a perfect example of what a right to cure would be. When the individual went to the bathroom, the toilet paper roll was 1/8 of an inch too low. That does not deny someone access. That does not enable somebody not to have, it's just a measurement that was put up on a code section. And because of that, they were drawn out into litigation for almost 9 months. And the settlement was an atrocious amount, which almost caused them to go out of business. If they had the right to cure that, the owner, as gracious as he is, one of those good business owners, would have just walked in, raised that toilet paper roll, and the issue would have been solved. Now, I'm not advocating for somebody to completely violate ADA rules, and we should make sure that everyone has accessibility to the businesses that are operated in the state of California. But there are chronic litigants and attorneys that do this on a daily basis. I was just reading about one of them on the internet where the judge had fined the attorney and found him guilty of processing just multiple lawsuits against multiple businesses, specifically in the Los Angeles area, and impacting those businesses to such a negative degree that the judge finally took action against the attorney who was doing it, and using the same litigant over and over and over again, which is a chronic litigant. So respectfully ask for an aye vote on this bill, and let's address some of these things with the right to cure. Not egregious, but just the simple right to cure that the author has brought forth.
Senator Rubio, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, and ladies and gentlemen of the Senate. This is a really important issue. I know that it's really difficult to thread the needle and understand both sides clearly. I don't think anyone on this floor wants any rights for victims with disabilities to be violated, but I do know that the egregiousness of the lawsuits have really turned down some of our communities. There's been legal counsels just going from business to business, really just, seeking out how they can sue our businesses. And I do have a lot of friends who belong to the Latino Business Women Association. Every time we think of a lawsuit, we think anyone can sustain it, but not when they're small businesses, not when these businesses are already struggling to stay afloat. And no, I don't believe that they intentionally want to violate laws, but just giving them the right to cure is so important. I have, 10 more examples, as the great senator from Bakersfield just stated, so minor, something that could have been cured so easily, and yet they drag these businesses in for months into court. I mean, I know a couple that could not sustain the damages and ended up closing. So I think it's time to allow them a little grace to be able to fix the problem so that we can keep our businesses open, keep our people employed. And I think, again, with the sensitivity that we don't want anyone to violate, any laws, let's give them the ability to cure. Thank you.
Senator Wahab, you are recognized.
Thank you. I want to thank the senator for bringing this bill forward. I actually do support this bill. I know we have been in conversations since fall regarding this bipartisan effort. I do want to highlight that small businesses have been taken advantage of and specifically pursued by law firms seeking to get a significant amount of dollars in damages. This bill has the spirit of informing the business owner, hey, there's a problem, and you get so many days to fix it. It is not allowing people to skirt the issue. It is not allowing people to harm disabled community members. It is not allowing anything like that. It is simply to allow a business owner to understand that there is an issue and they have some time to fix it. I respectfully ask for an aye vote. I know that the senator will be continuously working to ensure that all concerns are addressed, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Secretary, please call the roll. Ayes 34, noes 2. The measure passes.